The race is not to give unto the swift, nor give unto the strong, but to the one that in turn who God controls all. You may feel that life has given her best, and there's nothing left to give. I speak over you. Prepare for the rest. In time he shall